Hi everyone, this is Craig and I am back with another episode, and this one is one that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. It is, of course, sausage rolls. Now, the version that I'm going to be doing today for you is something a little bit different. This is what I call my festive version of sausage rolls. So this is like the Christmas edition version. I got requested by someone, they said to me, we've got to do a Christian Christmas cooking with Craig. And I went, I don't even know what the first part means, but sure, I can do Christmas. I love Christmas, so I'm just going to do that all the time. So in light of that, I thought we would get started, and let me just talk around what I've got here. I've got a few things kicking around. Firstly, I've got the sausage mince. Now this is actually pork. Traditionally, sausage rolls were made from pork, and if you go to the United Kingdom these days, more times than not, anytime you get a sausage roll, you are going to get pork in them. So today, as I said, we're doing a Christmas festive version, and to that end, we are going to be using pork sausage mince. Now I've got here an onion, which I've grated instead of slicing it, because when you grate the onion, the distribution and the chemical reaction to the meat is very different to if you slice the onion. And you'll also see here, there's lots of juice. So when you grate the onion, don't give up that juice. That juice is gonna really, really help it down the line. I've also got a grated carrot here. I've got an egg. And also, I've got some bacon here. Now, this is a smoked bacon, so it's not a fresh bacon. So in Australia, we tend to get our bacon smoked. So this is 3 rashers of bacon, which I have chopped up really finely, which is going to be added to it. So it's like, I know it's pork, and it's all the kinds of great things. Here, I've actually got, this is called a seasoned stuffing mix. Now, you can get this from most supermarkets. And what this is it's basically got all your seasonings in it already. There's like some sage, there's some dried onion, and there's also some other herbs there too. And also there's a bit of salt. So, and of course with the bacon, we've also got salt. So this adds as a binder, and also a filler. It helps to sort of hold it all together along with the egg, but also gives it a really great texture. Now, let's get into some seasonings. I've got here, this is like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Because we've got salt in here and we've got salt in the bacon, we don't really need much of it. And here I've got some white pepper, a little bit different to black pepper. White pepper is a little more aromatic. It's got a nicer kick to it, but it's a warm kick. It's not like this crazy heat. And that's going to be nice too. One extra thing I add for a little bit of extra warmth is I add a little bit of mustard. So that'll be just like, a 1/2 teaspoon of mustard that I add to it. That is how it rolls. And speaking of rolls, obviously we roll it into something, and that is going to be puff pastry. Now, anybody who has time to spend 4 hours making puff pastry, all power to you. But the truth is, for me, I don't really get that amount of time. So where possible, I will just pick it up from the supermarket. Here in Australia, you can get 6 sheets of puff pastry for under $3. And when you sort of add that up against the time it takes to get it, like the butter, and then working it all together to create the layers, $3, I can do $3. And the outcome is relatively the same. Nothing, of course, compared to when you make it yourself. There is that added satisfaction, and of course, the textures, and you get to choose the ingredients that you put into it as well. So that's what makes it a real benefit if you've got the time to make your own puff pastry. All right, well, let's put this together. It is going to be relatively simple. The first thing I'm going to do is, into my seasoned stuffing mix, I'm going to add my salt. I'm going to add this pepper, and I'm going to get a little bit of this mustard. As I said, just like the tiniest little bit. About that. In it goes. Right. Put those in there together. And just give it a little bit of a mix just to distribute it out. Pretty good. You'll notice again, I haven't got any water here, like as an additional binder. We may not need it. We'll see how we go. These this stuffing mix will tend to soak up a lot of liquid, so we might need a little bit of water down the line, but let's see how we go. Now, let's talk pork. In goes the egg. Pop it in there. In goes the bacon. In goes the carrot. You go, carrot and sausage rolls, what? I'm telling you, it'll change your life. There's just something about the flavour of the carrot, and then of course the onion. With all of that extra onion juice, it goes in. All right, take my rings off because the hands are about to get dirty. So I don't want to take that chance. And here we go. So hand in, that's where we go, and we just work it all in together. The great thing about using pork mince as opposed to beef is that you can't really overwork pork. Strangely enough, the more you work it, it will get more tender. And that's actually one of the things that the onion does as well. It helps to promote that. I might also say, just as a side note, if you are ever wanting to use onions like in savoury mince, or if you're wanting to fry them up and you want to hide them, the best thing to do is you add the tiniest bit of bicarb into the pan with your onions when you're frying it, and that will break the onions up and they will basically become mush. You won't even recognise that they're there. So you can have a look there. That's the mix, it's all come together. It's looking pretty good. And you can see it is quite moist. There's a lot of liquid sort of kicking around in there. To that now, we're going to add our dry ingredients. There we go. And away we go. Now, the ingredients that we've got here, let me just break it down for you. There was 1 cup of seasoned stuffing mix, 500 grams of pork sausage mince, 1 carrot, that's like a medium carrot that was grated, and 1 medium onion that was grated. Then with the other things, we had like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, we had a 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper, and we had a 1/4 teaspoon of the mustard powder. And we bring it all together, and you can actually see right there, we did not need any additional liquid. That is looking pretty good. Now, the thing that I would recommend you do at this point is we're going to cover this and we're going to pop it into the fridge for about 15 minutes. The reason you do that is that it gives the opportunity for that stuffing mix to soak up some of the liquid, and it'll also help to create a bit more form. And while we're doing that, you can sort of go get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself a cup of tea, and you can pull your puff pastry sheets out of the freezer because you are going to need to thaw them before you put all this stuff together. All right, I'll see you in a few. Crack an egg. This is going to be, we're going to beat this so that we can then baste the top of our sausage rolls. Just use a fork. What you can do here is you can always add a little bit of water if you want to, just to help loosen it up a bit more, which I'll do. There we go, done. Let's put it together. I have here one beautiful piece of puff pastry, which I prepared myself, which I pulled out of the freezer. Yay! Here I've got our sausage mix, which has been resting for a good 15 minutes. That way we can make sure that it's firmed up a bit, and just take the cover off. Now we're going to be making 4 jumbo rolls today. Now, as I said, this is like a Christmas thing. So, you know, and the easiest way I find to do it is just get the back of the knife and cut it into quarters. Again, you're going to get your hands dirty, Do not know why I put my rings back on, but I'm going to take them off again because this is just what happens. And you're going to find this a really, really easy way to do something. Okay, you'll notice most of the time when you buy puff pastry, it's got this little lip on the side, that little bit of extra plastic. That is actually a great thing to have. And what I tend to do is I'll eyeball it, sort of sit it around the center. There we go, around about there. And then you just bring it down, cut all the way down, and separate them out like that. Now, rings off. And grab a quarter of the mix. As I said, you know, everythything that you do is sort of eyeballed. And you can see right away, it's like we've got it there. And we form it. We actually move it down. So everyone thinks, oh, you've got to roll it, and sort of, no, not necessarily. It ends up being a sausage roll, but I find it better to sort of form it this way. Get it right down towards the edge where you need it. Okay. And you get it to a point where it's looking sort of, you know, evenly distributed, like that. Yep. Press it in a little bit. Give yourself a bit of a lip here on the end. And then what we're going to do is we are then going to grab it here, push it up, and then we just grab it and pull it over, pressing it in here, this little lip at the side that I talked about. You bring that off. Don't take the whole thing off yet, because you are going to need it. And as you continually coax it in and bring it around, you'll get it into the edge, and you just press it. And then when you get to the end there, press the seal against the bottom, still keeping the plastic on board, and then you bring the plastic around, and then you do that. And right away, there it is. There's your sausage roll, all made and ready to go. It's actually a really easy way to do it. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, here we go. It looks like so much, doesn't it? And hopefully this one's not going to burst, but hey, if it does, that's just good, because there's nothing better than getting some of those crunchy cooked pork sausage bits coming out of the side of a sausage roll. That's how you know you're getting something homemade and it's not mass produced. No garbage. And the other great thing is, like, you can see like the distribution of the carrot, the onion, and the bacon. Remember, there's bacon in here too. And when we do it, it all comes together. Grab this, fold it over, grab your little lip, pull that off. Your hands will sort of feel a little slippery because of dealing with the meat and all the filling and things like that. That's all right, just, you know, persevere. You know, in the country, that's what you do. You just persevere. It's not about being a neat freak. It's about you get it done. Your hands are clean, so, you know, you don't worry about that. My goodness, it's like people go, oh, the state of my kitchen when I'm cooking. It's like, you're cooking. Just, you know, let yourself cook. Right, and there's the second one. All right, we're going to do 2 more of these, and then we're going to get them into the oven. Okay, we are going to do 2 more of these, but then what we're going to do is we're going to let them rest in the fridge so that they can chill up. The reason we do that is because you want to make sure that the pastry is going to be as cold as it can possibly be when it hits the heat of that oven. And that's going to be really key in getting a great puff in your pastry. And let's do the other 2. Right, there we go. All right, just going to cover these over and pop them in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes just to let them chill. And while we do that, then we're going to put the oven on, preheat it. Right, while we get things ready, what I've got here is I've got my baking tray. Now the oven I'm using like a nice little benchtop oven. I've got this one underneath here, which is rather large, but it does use a lot of electricity. I like things, you know, that you can use that can heat up fast, get the job done, and not sort of, you know, blow out your power bill. So I'm using a benchtop oven. It's a great one. If you need to know more information, just message me in the comments. And hey, it'll be the first time I ever say this, but subscribe, thumbs up. And if you happen to do that, that would be awesome too. So yeah, do yourself a favor. These Silpat linings, they're fantastic. You can get them from most places. They're designed so that they can go in the oven and they're not gonna melt or damage your food or affect it, but they will provide you with a thing that you can put your food on and it's not gonna stick. And with sausage rolls, there's nothing worse than baking it and then bringing it out at the end and it's stuck and the whole thing falls apart, and that just sucks. So let's maybe not deal with that. Let's do something easier like this. If you don't have something like this, you can of course use non-stick baking paper, or you can actually just use the tray itself and put a little bit of non-stick spray on there. Or maybe put some foil and then some non-stick spray, and that'll help you out. All right, but this is what I've got for the day, so that's what I'll be using. All right, we'll be back shortly. I'm gonna cut up the sausage rolls. We're gonna put a little bit of egg glaze on them, and then they're going in the oven. Okay, these are ready to be cut up and put into the oven. Now, actually, I am gonna hang on to this because my tray, I don't think is gonna be able to cook all of these at once. I might have to do it in 2 batches, and that's quite okay too. And I know what I said before about cost cutting. Yeah, if you've got to do that, then you've got to use it twice as long. But I still think at the end of the day, it might work out to be a little bit easier for us. So, all right, let's get these bad boys onto the tray. Let's work with this one, I think. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take off there we go. That. And depending on how big you want to cut them, I'm going to cut mine into 3. Now I like a good sized sausage roll. You know, I don't like to skimp, and I can't stand, you know, when you come to parties and you get those tiny little, oh, there you go, my oven's just saying it's ready. There's nothing worse than going to a party and you find that there's no, the sausage rolls you get, like they're these tiny things, and that's all right. You know, they've got to go a long way. And you also want to be able to, look at that, just look at the inside of that, that looks incredible. You also want to be able to, you know, eat more food at parties. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to position these like that. It's all right. There's one there that's a tiny bit bigger than the other, and that's all right. That's just something for someone to enjoy a little more. And who is not against that? I'm not. All right, so same again. So cut, form into 3. All right, 2 and 3. Okay, so the other thing I like to do is I'm just going to, in fact, I might use this knife, and I just put a couple of slashes in it. It just helps to promote getting some steam out while everything's cooking, and also it probably looks nice at the end. And then I've got a little bit, oops, sorry, that was me moving the thing. And then I've got a little bit of egg wash, and I just put it over. Smooth this out so you can see a bit better. Don't skimp on the egg wash. All right. And at this point, if you've got sesame seeds or anything else, you know, that you'd like to sprinkle over the top of it. Some people put things like, you can put different flavorings, like you can even put things like dukkha, you know, all of those different seasoned spices or whatever. And you can take the opportunity to do that. These go into a hot oven, so 215 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to put them in for 20 to 25 minutes. They are a bit bigger, so they are going to take a little longer to cook, and when they come out, we'll have a look at them. It has been 25 minutes. They've just come out of the oven, and that's what you get. They look pretty good. We'll just turn them over, have a look at that. Make sure they're nicely cooked all the way through, and then just move them across, and there you have it. My spin on a festive sausage roll, guaranteed to please anyone who sits at the table where they're on a plate. Hope you enjoy. Thanks, guys.